Janet Planet, directed by Annie Baker, stars Julianne Nicholson, Zoe Ziegler, and Will Patton. In rural western Massachusetts, 11-year-old Lacy spends the summer of 1991 with her own imagination and the attention of her mother Janet. As the months pass, 3 visitors enter her orbit, all captivated by Janet. This is a film I mainly went to see because I had seen a total of 1 trailer for it, and it was enough to pique my interest about it, as it was something that looked different to most of the slop I've been reviewing on the channel lately, and from what I had seen from this trailer, I knew I'd be in for at least something different. Firstly, I want to start with the performances. Firstly, talking about what is genuinely a actual good, if not great, child actor performance from the lead, Zoe Ziegler. She was always really good with her line deliveries, making it believable when she acts as this eccentric type of child. Her character reminded me of how the children are portrayed in Wes Anderson films, from the way she talked and most of her mannerisms. She was able to convey being full of whimsy really well too, always looking at the world around her as if she's seeing everything for the first time all over again, and it was endearing whenever these moments would come up on screen. It was easy to find so much relatability in her character, even if you're not the same age as she's meant to be in this film. But through her performance, she brings this realness to the role that anyone can either connect with or maybe even know someone like this when they grew up, which was nice to see. Julianne Nicholson was good here too. She was able to convey a lot through her performance, especially the essence of the fact that there's something broken in her deep down. You get little glimpses into what this reasoning could have been, and as depressing as it is to say, I think this also felt like such a brutally honest portrayal of people like this, and in that regard, she nailed it. It was sweet seeing the chemistry she has between herself and Zoe Ziegler's character. It's a nice dynamic the two of them have, and from the moments that are shown, you can tell they really care about each other. One scene that I thought was especially sweet was where Ziegler's character Lacy asks her mother if she'd be disappointed if she ended up as a lesbian, and nearly instantly her mother says no, and it wouldn't bother her, which I thought was sweet to have this type of representation, as I feel like it's something that isn't shown as much as it should be in film. So it was a nice moment that made me smile, and it was all down to the chemistry that the two of them had shared together. Sophie Okonedo did a pretty good job here too. She's given a lot of moments to shine here, as she gives a few monologues, and whenever she delivers them, they're always very engaging. You get sucked into every word she says, as she's someone who just commands attention whenever she speaks. She's introduced as this performance artist, and she manages to make this in-film performance both intriguing, eccentric, and funny all in one. The dynamic she shared with Julianne Nicholson's character was very palpable from the screen time they shared together too. They worked off each other pretty well. The main thing that grabbed me about this film was simply how beautiful it looked, from the 3:4 aspect ratio to the emulation of digital being made to look like this grainy 16mm film. Along with that, the cinematography as a whole is just wonderful from start to finish. There's moments that give off the feeling of a warm hug. It's an extremely intimate film, showcasing moments that will be a close-up of certain body parts of people in an attempt to try and capture every detail so that someone can see all the beauty and imperfections that go with it. Apart from that, the color in this was really nice, and it always looked good when it was contrasted through the shadows and the light. There was a lot of attention to detail and care and dedication put into every single shot, which was really appreciated to see. If this is the type of thing you care about seeing in a movie, these are the types to seek out. The screenplay in this was really good too. It had a lot of naturalistic and real dialogue, along with some quirky and monotoned parts, which added as an outlier to the whole thing. Many monologues are intercut with pauses in just the right places that keeps you constantly engaged, adding on to every word the characters are speaking. The sound design in this was really good too. I read this thing saying that the sound designer for this essentially went into the woods and recorded the atmosphere for a whole 3 weeks just to have that much to work with, which is firstly a great display of care and dedication, which definitely paid off, as sometimes you're watching these outdoor scenes and the sounds can be so atmospheric that it nearly feels like you're there. I appreciated the fact that this film wasn't afraid to get a little weird in a few places, specifically subtly adding this cult element into the whole thing, where we watch performance happen, where these performances where these elaborate outfits and the costume design on them all were really fun to look at on screen. I think the ending of this thing, especially, a lot of people are going to really be taken aback by. I was when it first happened, but as I let it sit with me more, and the more I thought about it, I realized what was actually going on. I can totally see a number of people seeing the ending of this thing and disregarding it or calling it pretentious, and that certainly isn't the case. However, that's all I can really say about it without going into proper details about what actually happens. I will admit, I do think this film is just a little slow. This entire thing could have easily been summarized in a 90-minute movie. As much as these lingering shots are nice to look at, I really do think there's some segments that drone on just a tad bit too much, which was a bit unfortunate, as it will make for a hard film to recommend to certain people. However, if you like this sort of thing, then you'll like it done here. Overall, I did really like this. It's sweet and easygoing for a majority of its runtime, and it was nice to take a break from so many nothing films that have been coming out. It's ironic saying that, as someone could see this film and take it as, oh, nothing happens. But at the same time, everything happens. You're watching life itself unfold as the main character learns about the world around her. So do we, as we're clued into everything that's going on and how the world operates. I do think a bit more time could have been dedicated to developing the characters a little further, but other than that, it was fine. I'm giving Janet Planet 4 stars. This is a wonderfully acted, beautifully shot, cute, sweet, funny, depressing slice of life that will reconnect you with a part of your inner child and reflect on your own family values and insecurities. It has a nice blend of existentialism and some pretty funny moments thrown in there too that were balanced perfectly enough to complement each other. It will stick with you long after watching, and I consider it worthy of your time and attention on the big screen.